Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is hello, everyone. My name is Odie Hawkins, and as previously mentioned, I am the director, leader of the Bilbrew Writers Workshop. I am an alumnus of the Watts Writers Workshop, which, as some of you might remember, was took place in 1965 after the Watts Revolt Rebellion, as some people choose to call it, riot. So I stem from that tradition. The story that I'm about to read is a part of two sets of short stories that I'm writing. One concerns homeless people, and I'm calling it nomads, urban nomads. The second set of short stories is a collection of stories that come from the experience of being a veteran, disabled vet. So I'm interested in those two areas. For those of you who live in Los Angeles and you're familiar with St. Julien Street, Fifth Avenue, and the various skid rows that are, there's just not one skid row, there's several. So we'll start off with what I'm calling the St. Julien Honeymoon Tent. I guess the polite thing to do before I start running my mouth off, hey, let me have my glasses over there. Anybody, throw me my glasses, will you, Harold? You didn't throw them far enough. You're good at that. Got a young lady over here who's making a documentary. She's good at it too. She carries glasses around with her, even mine. Thanks, honey. What you? No, that's all right. We'll talk after this is up, okay? I was at, well, I guess the polite thing to do before I start running my mouth up is to introduce myself. My government name is Louis P. Jordan. The P don't stand for nothing. I just put it there because I thought it looked good. But my friends call me Likka Sto Rufus. The liquor store part I can understand. But I don't know who tacked that Rufus part on there. Nowhere. It's life on St. Julien. Lots of stuff happens on St. Julien. For example, this is where Sylvester and Marlena Green started their honeymoon tent thing. Now just let me say this. Sylvester and Marlena was good people. No doubt about that. But they had been down on their luck, and I guess you would say in desperate straits for a while. I'd be willing to bet you if you did a survey or a poll or something like that, you might find that about half the people living down here on St. Julien on Skid Row are just folks down on their luck. I would include myself in that regard. But just let me say this, in regards to Sylvester and Marlena Green, they may have been in desperate straits for a while, but they hadn't been stripped of lots of ideas and creativity, not by a long shot. Sylvester, I got an idea that could make us some money. Sylvester stopped sipping his thrice brewed tea, heated on their one burner hot plate, and gave Marlena his complete attention. When Marlena said, make us some money, it meant listen close. What you got in mind, baby? He loved to see her eyes brighten up and the way her hands started doing little cat's cradles as she talked about an idea. Okay, here we are in this tent, one of the biggest and nicest on the block. You agree with that? You got that right, sweet man. He made an elaborate sweeping gesture with his right hand as though to salute their surroundings. Their daily clothes hung neatly on a crossbar, their neatly folded stored clothes on a makeshift shelf in the east corner. A few glasses, cups, and saucers placed on a ground level table, the one burner hot plate, and the old-fashioned metal bread box where they stored their perishables and to keep the rats away. So what's on your mind? He smiled as he asked the question. Marlena's ideas could be a little bit abstract at times. He had learned to be cautious about where her ideas are likely to take them. Okay, so here's my idea. I've been thinking real hard on this for a while. I know you have, sweet thing, I know you have. Marlena double-checked her husband's expression in the dimming afternoon light to make sure that he was not just humoring her. He looked sincere. My idea is that we rent our tent out for an hour at a time to some deserving couple who can pay the price. Sylvester almost choked on the tea he was sipping. Huh? Marlena, baby, did I hear you right? You want to rent our tent, our home, out by the hour? Is that what you just said? That's exactly correct. That's what I just said. Now let me explain this to you. Sylvester sprawled back on his futon sleeping bag and stared at his wife eloquently moving lips. The woman was endlessly fascinating, her mind percolating like a pot of strong brewing coffee. He had no doubt they would get out of the fix they were in largely because of her strength, determination, and imagination. They hadn't willed themselves to be on Skid Row. It just happened after a whole series of catastrophes had gone down. Both of them losing their good-paying jobs at the same time, his hip replacement, her fight with breast cancer, the bills that swamped them, the fight they lost to keep the house, one damn thing after another. Sylvester, are you listening to me? He took a sip of his cold tea and nodded enthusiastically. Yes, I am. Good, okay. Ain't no sense trying to deny it. Just because people are living on what they call Skid Row does not mean that they do not want to make love. Do you agree with that? Sylvester licked his lips, squinched his eyes into lascivious slits, and did a salacious stare at Marlena's full breasts and her shapely hip line. She leaned over and gave him a playful slap on his forehead. I ain't talking about us, Mr. Sex Maniac. I'm talking about some of our neighbors. Now, I know for a fact that men don't really care where they get a nut. Women are different. Women don't want to be doing it on a piece of cardboard in the middle of the night out on the streets. Women want something soft under themselves, maybe some candlelight and a little music. You know what I'm saying? Sylvester nodded in agreement. I hear you, sweet thing. I hear you loud and clear. So look around you. Look at what we got and what they don't have. Sylvester glanced around at the interior of their neatly laid out tent home. The centerpiece was this incredible mattress that a couple of their drug-addicted neighbors had sold them a couple of months ago. One of those world-class numbers that was firm and guaranteed to stay firm, no matter what, for at least 100 years or until it collapsed. No telling where the dope head stole it. So he framed his question in an oblique fashion. So she responded, I'm suggesting that we rent our tent. Rent this magic mattress out for 2-3 hours, 5 nights a week, except for the weekends. Why not the weekends? Because the weekends will be reserved for us, the owners of the love tent, to count our money and do whatever. Words gets around real quick on Skid Row. It took Marlena's idea exactly 1 whole week to sink into action. The honeymoon tent was on. Sylvester eased in with a few suggestions. Marlena, baby, cakes. I don't think we should charge everybody the same price for an hour in paradise. Why don't we charge what the traffic would bear? Marlena Green, a bona fide capitalistic entrepreneur, had to be convinced that they would lose business if they tried to charge a set amount for each use of their tent, mattress, home. Charge what the traffic can bear? Well, okay. I guess that would be the best thing to do. All right, Sylvester, let's go with the flow. The flow dictated that they would not offer their tent to teenagers. We don't want to be responsible for delinquent stuff. They would not allow prostitution. We'll have to be ready and really alert about this. I don't think we'll have a real problem. I can spot a hole in a john from a mile away. It took about 3 months for them to work the kinks out, but everybody could see that they had a good thing going on. It was kind of amazing the way stuff had happened. For example, this particular section became much quieter. It was like nobody wanted to be guilty of disturbing the honeymoon tent. You know what I'm saying? It actually got to the point where some people nicknamed this block the Love Connection. It was almost unbelievable. Marlena was almost on the verge of tears when she told me, Sylvester, we made $162.52 last week. It was really unbelievable what happened next. I was sitting here making out the schedule for the week when this cream-cut, blonde-haired, blue-eyed couple popped through the tent flap. We were informed that we could rent this tent for a period of time. Is this correct? It was the guy who spoke. He had a kind of German accent. Where you folks from? I asked him. Oslo, Norway. So you want the honeymoon tent, huh? Yeah, we want it for 2 hours, perhaps 3. I didn't know whether the shit had gone blind. Marlena had gone to the central market for some fruit, so I had to stall him for a few minutes till she got back because I didn't know what to charge him. Luckily, she was back on the scene 10 minutes later, and she was all about the business of the business. Now then, who were your references? Oh, we met this couple in Holland who had done some photography here on St. Julien last month, and they spoke of you. We knew who they were talking about. There was a Dutch couple who had taken some great pictures of us, of the people on the street. So, what is your reason for wanting to rent the honeymoon tent? I felt like screaming, come on, Marlene, rent the damn tent, let's get the money, honey. We want to do this to say that we have made love here on St. Julien Street, and that the baby we have been trying to conceive for so long will happen here. You could have knocked me down with a duck feather. Wow. Marlena blinked back a couple of sentimental tears and said, that'll be $200 for 2 hours and God bless you. The Norway guy zipped open his money belt and fished out 4 $50 bills like it wasn't nothing. Like I said, that kind of thing didn't happen every day, but it happened often enough for us to start looking for a room somewhere. It was really a trip to watch what happened to Sylvester and Marlena. 3 things happened after a few months in the spring that told me that they was really making some decent coins. Number 1, they just basically left the tent and got a room over at the Keystone Hotel. Number 2, they hired Mr. and Miss Spencer, an older couple, you might say, to do the landlord thing, meaning the book people in and collected the money first. But they didn't become greedy-ass, snake dog money grabbers. They did things for people on the street. If you was having it tight, they would loan you a few coins. I owe Sylvester $20 to this very day. Plus, they was known to give scholarships to folk couples who wanted to do, but didn't have the proper coin. You know what I'm saying? Number 3, with the icing on the cake, they hired Bobo to hang around to be security. You didn't want to mess around with Bobo. Bobo was about 5'10", and was almost as wide as he was tall, and had muscles all up behind his head and in between his thumbs and forefingers. Always exercising, always doing push-ups, sit-ups and stuff, right next to the door flap of the honeymoon tent. The Keystone was definitely not a luxury hotel by any stretch of the imagination, but it had hot water and a flushable toilet. And for the first time in a long time, we had us a bank account. Things were perking right along. Mr. and Miss Spencer might have been nibbling a bit off the top, but there was no evidence of grand theft happening. And Bobo kept the would-be riffraff at arm's length. More than arm's length, more like over there across the street. Sylvester was shaving more often, I noticed, and we could afford to go to one of the local greasy spoons and have a cheeseburger every now and then. Yes, indeed, things were perking right along. The way I figured it, all we had to do was just keep on doing what we were doing, and we would have enough money to move into a nice apartment somewhere. We had already decided to leave LA. It was just too expensive to live on Skid Row. It came down on me like an ice raid or something. I didn't see him, but Slobber Lip Sally did. The way she told it, it was like a SWAT team raid or Gestapo raid, the way they did when they was taking Jews away to the concentration camps. The only difference, the way she told it, is that these people were wearing suits. I had to physically restrain Sylvester from beating a couple people to death with his short, thick stick he called his attitude adjuster. Good thing we had given Bobo this particular Monday off, or else somebody would have definitely had a hurt put on him. It was unreal. We had decided to give Mr. and Mrs. Spencer a Monday off too, and had left our room in the Keystone to spend the night in a tent. You know how it is, if you have an investment in something, you have to do a check on things on a regular basis. That's what we were doing. What was it? About 7 or 7:30 in the morning? And these people, white guys, about 6 or 7 of them, barged into our tent talking fast and crazy. You people are breaking the law. It is unlawful to establish houses of prostitution within the downtown city limits. You are in violation of city ordinance BS 1666. Like I said, I had to stop Sylvester from clubbing somebody to death. Who the fuck do you think you are breaking in here? Fortunately, the lead person started talking really fast. We're from the Department Association of blah, 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 and we demand that you comply with blah, 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 blah. I had an immediate compromise ready. Get the fuck out of here and we can talk. Or else stay where you are and my husband is gonna beat the dog shit out of y'all. They accepted the compromise. We let them wait outside for about a half an hour while we discussed the situation. Sylvester, what do you make of this? It's about money, sweet thing. It's all about the almighty buck. Somewhere along the line, somebody had discovered that a couple of poor-ass black folks down on Skid Row are making some money. That's what it's all about, money. It didn't take long to find out that he was right on the money. No pun intended. We met these suits outside our tent for a few minutes before they checked out and fled the scene. It was obvious that they didn't feel too comfortable with Slobber Lip Sally, Fancy Dan, the Toothless Man, Hellraiser Gonzalez, Uncle Charlie, and the other regulars on San Julian crowding up on them. We didn't have to be told that it was on from that point onward. The next day, there was a police sweep on the street. They made a beeline for our tent. We're looking for drugs, contraband. We wouldn't let them pass the threshold without a search warrant. You can't come in here without a search warrant. They were so mad, so mad. If there hadn't been so many people around, they probably would have shot both of us to death. 2 hours later, they were back with a search warrant. They turned the place inside out. We didn't do drugs. I only had a beer or two from time to time. We had better things to do than stay high or loaded all the time. Like I said, it was on. The cops immediately killed our honeymoon business. So we had to leave the Keystone and move back into the tent. Nobody wanted to run the risk of being arrested, so a lot of our friends stayed away from us. I really felt bad for Marlena. She had worked so hard to put this thing together, and now was destroyed by some hateful, mean-spirited, dirty, rotten snake dog money grabbers. That's what it was all about, really. They just couldn't stand the idea of a black couple making money doing something they had never thought about doing. Lo and behold, they had never thought about doing things that we were doing. Lo and behold, the next thing we knew, we had some young white kids and some young black kids, really just kids, marching up and down Julien Street with signs, protesting for our right to use our tent any way we wanted to. We were flabbergasted. The story hit the newspapers. African-American couple harassed by bureaucracy. That brought the TV cameras down on San Julian, a place they'd never been before. Tell us, Mr. and Mrs. Green, have you always lived in a tent on San Julian Street? Is it true that you were using your tent as a house of prostitution? I felt tempted to pull out my attitude adjuster a few times, but Marlena cooled me out. Be cool, Sylvester, be cool. This kind of BS went on for about a month. It got to the point
where we were going to accept the pro bono offer that a couple of cool attorneys had made. I'll represent you guys. This is nothing but an infringement of your civil rights. It's appalling. It just so happened the other day we were about to get hooked up with David Ziegels, the lawyer. We looked out of our tent and they had these huge bulldozer things moving into position at the end of the street. A big beefy police sergeant was driving real slow down the street announcing over a loudspeaker, "You have exactly 1 hour to remove your belongings. You people are trespassing. You have exactly 1 hour to remove your belongings. I repeat." Marlena cried her eyes out for about 5 minutes before she pulled herself together. I'm not crying about us. I'm crying about the grief we pulled down on our friends. I don't know how the news reached David Ziegel, but he was on the scene within the hour with some kind of stay of execution order. We can't let them do this. What the hell do they think this is? Nazi Germany? Ziegels was outraged and I was outraged, but Marlena was cool. Look, guys, this is not going to work. Look at what's happening already. You got protesters coming in, you got police in riot gear and SWAT vehicles behind them. I don't want to see anybody killed over some crazy shit like this. Sylvester, pull those stroller bags out with our stuff and help me pull the tent pole down. It was really and truly a mad scene, mad. People who were already homeless were being made homeless again. Some people were just standing in front of their cardboard shacks, too stunned to cry. Some people were rushing around, piling stuff on top of anything they could pull or push. And then the bulldozers started moving. The police had cordoned off the street for blocks around. But there were individuals who popped through and flung a bottle or brick at the bulldozers. They got an immediate ass kicking and were dumped into the police van. They left one opening out of Julien Street, and I clearly remember two things. We looked like refugees dragging our stuff along, and the attorney, David Ziegels, a hard-bitten guy, was shuffling along beside us, crying and mumbling, "I don't fucking believe this. Not in America. I don't fucking believe this." Yeah, that's where it all happened, right here on Julien Street, about 5 years ago. But now here's the booty buster. It seems while Marlena and Sylvester was being buked, scorned, and mistreated, this Norway couple that they had once rented the Honeymoon Tent to got in touch with them. Yeah, got in touch with them whilst they was going through all that madness and invited them to come to Norway. Oh. This is the way Slobber Lip Sally, yeah, she's still here. This is the way Slobber Lip Sally told it to me. Seems that this Norway couple had made a baby in the honeymoon tent. Oh. Had made a baby in the honeymoon tent. Can you get ready for that? Had made the crumb crusher that they've been trying to make in the honeymoon tent. And when they checked out the YouTube and stuff and saw what Marlena and Sylvester was going through, they invited them to get out of shithole America and come to Norway to work. Mm-hmm. They're going to say they could become diversity consultants or something like that. Incidentally, had named the crumb crusher a boy, Henrik St. Julien Hansen. That's what Slobber told me. As I understand it, coming from Slobber Lip, they borrowed some coin from this attorney Ziegels and split. I got to get in touch with this dude to handle some of my legal business. I'm going through some changes. In any case, that was about 5 years ago. Yeah, it was a hell of a scene, Bobo told me he got a letter from them last year from Oslo, Norway. They had bought a house next door to Astrid, Garth, and the baby, Hendrik St. Julien Hansen. These are the folks who helped them pull them over there. So far as I know, they're still there. All I know about the place is that it's close to Greece, cold as a witch's left titty, and ain't nobody living on the streets the way we got it here. So far as I know, they're still there. All I know about the place is that it's close to Greece, cold as a witch's left titty,
And ain't nobody living on the streets the way we got it here. So that was Honeymoon Tent. Sure was. All right, I got to go. Got some people waiting for me down the street here. Well, I got to take care of some business. And thanks for carrying my glasses. I really appreciate that.
You're quite welcome, Rufus.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself now.
What's your name, baby?
Okay, I'm Mrs. Hawkins, Mrs. Odie Hawkins.
Oh, you married to somebody named Odie.
Yeah.
What's your man's name?
His name is Odie Hawkins.
Oh, yeah. I got to meet him. What is he like?
Oh, he's a wonderful man. He's a writer.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking to do something like that, too.
Maybe you guys could talk and get some business together.
Oh, yeah, that's all you got to do, huh? Okay, well, I'm gonna look into that because, you know, I like to tell these stories, especially if they're the truth.
Yeah,
But like I said, I'm busy. I don't have time to talk to you.
I know.
Because I got some business to take care of. Would you excuse me?
yes, and you watch out for that cough you got, Rufus.
I'm sorry, you say what?
Take care of that cough you have.
I don't have a cough, baby. I have a condition
Gotcha.
that is mostly permanent because if you drink enough whiskey and shoot enough heroin and smoke enough cigarettes, you'll have a voice that sounds like you got a cough.
Child, Rufus.
Yeah, okay.